What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Today we have a guest from South Africa. Her name is Marilyn Couch. Now, she had ended up contacting me on Instagram and showed us some footage of an explosion from a refinery by the name of Engen. Is a Malaysian-owned company, not even Black-owned, but yet they have this company in South Africa in the Durban area. Now, when I saw, you saw I posted, maybe you who follow us on Instagram saw I posted, reposted basically what Marilyn had posted. You could see how debris was just going into the homes of people, which we will ask Marilyn some more details. So I have a lot of questions about, some of the logistics of this. So Marilyn, thanks for joining us on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me today. Thank you so much for the platform provided to me to be a voice of the community of Wentworth, South Africa.
All right, so Marilyn, just before we get started, because some people may try to figure out, say, well, who is Marilyn? What's her background? So Marilyn, can you tell us a little bit just about yourself?
Okay, firstly, I am a community member of the Wentworth community. I am also a representative of a foundation called the Kids Kiddo Joseph Foundation, which is based in the Wentworth community. So I come before you today as a representative of that. The Kids Kiddo Joseph Foundation was formed by a uncle of mine who died in the political struggle during apartheid, and we've basically formed this foundation to continue his legacy and to continue to assist and address the needs of the Wentworth community.
Okay, so your uncle basically was fighting, for freedom and justice for Black people during apartheid, and shot. Definitely, we are proud of your uncle for what he's done for Black people. I mean, I'm very proud of him for doing that. And you want to continue his legacy, and you said in this foundation. So we'll continue his legacy. You wrote us on Instagram, and you informed us about an explosion that happened, a petrochemical plant in Durban.
Yes.
Could you explain exactly what happened and the problems with this plant and with the area of the community?
Okay. I don't know if it would be appropriate for me to just give you a little bit of history of Wentworth and how it was formulated and how Engen is in the community now and the contributing factors to what has led to this point, because it's not only this explosion that has made the community react this way. There's been a buildup of events, which is why the community has reached a point of such frustration.
Oh, no, give us all the information that we need, because you have to understand people that could be watching in America or even different parts of the continent. They want to know all the information.
Okay. So I'll just give you a brief history. So during the World War II, which was between the years of 1939 to about 1945, there was an army base in the Wentworth community. So the army was positioned here. And then apartheid was legalized. And for viewers who are not familiar with apartheid, it was basically a type of segregation or separation in residential areas based on race. And the Group Areas Act allowed for this regulation to take place, and people were separated based on this. So colored people were positioned within the Wentworth community. So Black people were placed in their own residential areas. When Indian people were placed in their own residential areas, white people, etc., and colored people were moved into the Wentworth community. So there was an influx of people within the community, and people who weren't familiar with each other had to now live together. So there wasn't proper town planning because there was no houses at the time. So the government quickly put together flats for people to live in. And I think in American terms, a flat would be referred to as a tenement building. So what that is, it's a block that has 6 units in it. So 6 different families would live in the same block. So you can imagine the types of events that come out of a situation like that. So there's gangsterism, there's substance abuse, there's violence, there's interpersonal and intrapersonal conflicts within the communities. So when these people moved in, or when the colored community, my community, moved into Wentworth, there was an understanding that the Engen oil refinery, which was already positioned there, but was referred to as Mobile Oil Refinery at the time, which was, I think, American owned. There was an understanding from the community that when they moved into this place, that employment would be provided to them by the refinery. Okay, there was employment provided by the refinery. However, it was a minority of the community. So jobs that required skills, like, for example, such as your artisans, etc., those skills were outsourced internationally, and the local community was used for example, your shutdowns, your engine shutdowns. And this is still the case today. So a shutdown, I'm not sure if you guys understand what that is. So it is basically when the refinery requires revamp or maintenance of the refinery, then they employ people within the community. But the problem with this is that it's not a permanent form of employment. It's a contract-based employment. So you don't know when you're going to stop working, because it could last anything from 3 to 6 months, from 6 months to 1 year. You don't know when it's going to end. And then the long-term effects of that is that when you retire, you have no pension fund or no provident fund as a pensioner. There's also no medical benefits provided to you. So that employment could come to an end at any stage. So as I've said to you, this is why from that time, from the post-World War II, when apartheid was enacted in South Africa, there was this understanding that employment would be provided. And from that time till this date, there's still been a minority employment rate within the refinery. So the refinery changed from Mobile Oil Refinery to, I think it was rebranded to Engen Oil Refinery. And then it was taken over by Malaysians, and the name remained the same, which is still Engen Oil Refinery. I think it was taken over in 1993, which was just before so the name was changed to Engen Oil Refinery in 1993, and then, which was just before the South African democracy, which was in 1995. And then I think about 4 to 5 years now, the Malaysians have taken ownership of the refinery. So till this date, there's just been no communication with the community, no involvement with the community. It also just speaks a lot about the apartheid government at the time to place people within an environment such as the Engen Oil Refinery, knowing the toxic fumes that are being released into the air, knowing the detrimental health effects that they are on the community and on the people. And till this date, there's been talks about moving the people out of the community, but obviously people don't want to leave their homes. There's been talks about removing the refinery, but then we know that also has huge economical effects on the country. So there's just been no communication coming from Engen. People don't know the way moving forward, because Engen refuses to address the community to say, this is what we have planned for you guys, or this is how we plan to compensate families, or this is how we plan to address our corporate social responsibility within the community. There's just been nothing. People are left to their own devices. People are left to figure their way out of the struggle. We are all dealing with the effects of COVID-19. So you can imagine how much worse it is to deal with COVID-19. People have lost jobs. People are starving, and now they must still deal with an explosion within the community, which has left people homeless. There was a little girl that was burned that I would say is third-degree burns. I mean, I've met her, I've met the family. I was at a community meeting where I got to meet the little girl and her parents, and the mother of the family had said that they sought help from Engen, and Engen told them that they're going to provide accommodation for them for 5 days. And after the 5 days, the family is basically left stranded, and they've got nowhere to go because their home has been burned down. So from what I remember, the community said that they would help and assist the family. I mean, there are many other families who were affected, but this was a family that I personally got to meet and interact with. The mother had also said that her and the little girl had gone to the gates of Engen Refinery to seek help and to ask where are they supposed to live after the 5 days. And Engen is just refusing to communicate with them and to address the situation. There's been no talks of compensation. So people are left distraught. I have read newspaper articles about Engen saying that no, that they are accommodating families and that there are talks of compensation. But to my knowledge and to the things that I've been hearing from interacting with the community and getting to meet some of the families, I don't think that some of these statements are in fact true. So does that answer your question?
Yes. Well, let me say some things you said. Yes, here in the United States, like I said, my background is petrochemical. Yes, I know about shutdowns, and that's kind of about the same here in America. That you have contract companies, and then in these companies they work a shutdown, like you said, 3 months, 6 months. But the way it works here is that right toward the end of the shutdown, usually you'll go to the next refinery to work the next shutdown.
Yes,
Okay, so you had mentioned, and it's something else you had talked about. I get to it, I don't want to forget that. But since I saw the homes was so close to this refinery, and just me just dealing in that field, for 20 plus years, I could tell you those homes should not be there, and that is extremely dangerous for the people to live so close to that refinery, and for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
Okay, so when I saw the debris had hit the home from the explosion, that's way too close. First and foremost, just for safety. Second of all, I know these places probably don't have the regulations. I don't think they have the regulations from what you're telling me that you would have in America with emissions, releasing emissions. Let me ask you a question. Do you watch their flares at night, or do they burn the flares during the day? Like, when they are burning off the fire, do you see a trail of smoke when they burn it?
Yes, we do see. Are you talking about? Well, I'm not good with the terms that they use within the refinery for the equipment that they use.
It's for people who know about this, it's a flare. Okay, so it's a fire. They burn this fire, right? You may see this big fire burning at the top of, like, you see this big tower with a fire. Do you ever see like black smoke coming from there?
Yeah, we do see that. You can see it from your house. But like I said, during apartheid, it was a very rushed situation. There was no proper town planning. So there was all these people and there was no homes provided. So they had to quickly provide accommodation for these people, which is why the houses are situated so close to the refinery. So we do, from your house, there's literally a road that separates the refinery from the housing of the community. So you can see every single thing that goes on within the refinery. And we do see those pipelines with the fire burning. We do see the smoke.
Okay, so you mentioned ExxonMobil used to own it at first, right? Now, ExxonMobil knows better, because in the United States, if you burn a flare and it has a plume of smoke for more than 5 minutes, every minute after that, you're fined by the state, and also you get a federal fine by the Environmental Protection Agency. So if ExxonMobil had that plant doing that before this Malaysian plant took over, then to me, it sounds like a regulation issue with the South African government. So
major.
So what's going on with the regulations then? Because it sounds like they're not being regulated.
I don't want to get into that and implicate myself, but I can say that from my perspective of what's been going on, the regulations are completely not adhered to. I would imagine that there would be someone to come out into the community and do inspections. I would imagine that there would be some sort of intervention, but I think it's just been a thing of, it's been like this for many years. No one's really done anything. I mean, the community has tried, but you can't as a community try to take on a company like that on your own, which is why I've tried to reach out on international platforms to get assistance for the community, because they have been trying on their own. I mean, there are environmentalists within the community who have also tried to take on Engen to address these issues, but it's always been turned down. There's just no regulations being followed. I've heard of Engen sending people into the community to do presentations to the community to say that no, the toxins that we're releasing in the air are not toxic, they're not harmful. And I don't mean to undermine the community, because I am from that community, but there is a large number of uneducated people within the community. And however, there are also educated people. But I think when Engen comes out to do these presentations, there's some sort of general understanding amongst the community, which makes Engen believe that there's an acceptance of what they're saying is true.
Just hearing you say that, and I was just shaking my head. They know good and well they're lying. They're lying on top of lying, because I know better. The reason why you burn the flares first and foremost is to not release chemicals in the air or releasing things in the water. Because these refineries can be extremely toxic for a community. That's why government regulation has to be really tight on those particular outfits. So let me ask you a question. What is the overall health? Because you mentioned a high rate of asthma in that community next to this plant. Is that correct?
Yes. So you have situations of asthma, emphysema, cancer, all sorts of lung problems. You also have people who may have been born with issues, but it has been exacerbated by the effects of the refinery. So little children grow up with asthma problems. I mean, I have so many nieces and nephews within the community who struggle. And I had a friend who I have a friend who's visiting South Africa at the moment. He's from the American military base, and he's living in the community because he has a family there. And without even talking about the Engen situation, he was telling me how living in that community, he's been struggling to breathe. Coming from America into South Africa and living in the winter community, at night he struggled to breathe because the air is so dense for him.
Yeah, but see, this is what needs to happen for the community to fight back. And there's just a few things. You need to call out independent people to test the air for chemicals. You also need to get water samples to test the water for chemicals, things like that. And also they can test the dirt as well. That's a few places that the chemicals would affect you. Because what you're telling me, asthma, cancer, emphysema, that's basically chemical poisoning. That's what you're telling me. And that's due to the company releasing things they would never get away with in America, for sure. I mean, it would be a big problem if they do that. Now, they do have this one community in America, though. They call it Cancer Alley. And they get away with releasing certain amount of chemicals. And it's a Black community as well. And everyone in this particular community is in the state of Louisiana. All of them get cancer, and it's been a big deal, right? So after you get that tested, could you possibly get I don't know what they call it in South Africa, but we would call it a class action lawsuit against the company, basically suing for the health of the people, suing for contamination, and then, giving compensation also for the explosion.
Yeah. So that's what we're trying to do as a community, basically. Our cries and our pleas have fallen on deaf ears. So those are the types of things that we are trying to get within our community.
Okay, so the first step, what I would say is, well, have you your organization spoke to someone to get some testing done in the community for chemicals? Have you guys started that yet?
We have environmentalists within the community who are well aware of what is in the air. I mean, I can't tell you because I don't know, but there are environmentalists within the community who are aware of the extent of the pollution, the types of chemicals being released within the air, the extent of the effects on the community. So there are people who are aware, but I just think that there's no assistance, no platforms for them to get the type of assistance that is required to help the community.
Okay, so people, they'll watch this interview and they're going to find out. One of our top African nations that watch from the continent is South Africa. So definitely South Africans will see this. So what do you want to say to the people in South Africa that will watch this?
I just want to say to South Africa, firstly, and to everyone else who is watching international level, that if there's some way that you can assist the community, it would be greatly appreciated if you could just reach out to me. I'm sure Phillip would provide my details to you guys. If you could just assist in some way, or if you know of any organizations that would be able to assist us, it would be greatly appreciated, because the community has tried for so long to get the recognition that they deserve, to get the attention from Engen, because Engen just completely ignores the cries of the community. I'm hoping that by this they will see how serious this is. I mean, they do know how serious it is, but they've just been ignoring it. So it's basically a plea and a cry out to everyone to help if they can. And to the South Africans who are watching this, and especially those who have been affected by this explosion, that, all roads lead to victory, and this will be addressed some way, somehow. Something's got to give at the end of the day after all the attempts that we've tried. And also something that I want to mention is that it has been stated that the Engen oil refinery is due to shut down in 2023. So there's also been no formal communication about this. There's been no communication about what's going to replace the refinery. The rumor is that it's going to become a container depot. So like I said, there's just no communication, no formal communication, so we don't know. But I'm hoping that before they shut down, that they can compensate the community and help the community and make up for all these years that they've been destroying the community.
Yeah, and what I would say is, any of you who are in South Africa who are lawyers, because they need lawyers basically to deal with this issue, to get so the ball rolling. So any of you are lawyers that follow the show from South Africa. If you can't contact Marilyn, you could contact me and I can direct you to Marilyn, because they need a lawsuit. I mean, I'm just hearing everything. The only way these companies are going to respond is a lawsuit. And, people can't be sued in South Africa for things like that. I've done my research on that for sure. And because this is utterly wrong. And this is what happens, brothers and sisters. They go to the continent and things they couldn't get away with in America or even in Malaysia. I know, well, we don't want to say what they'll do over there, but they cannot come to South Africa and just poison the community. That's just not right whatsoever. And the one thing these people do is so used to just bullying the communities and just doing whatever they want because they don't have no way to fight back. And one thing we can use to fight back is the power of media. We have seen this many, many times. So Marilyn, just so people can contact you. I mean, we know we have your Instagram, but do you have like a website as well that people could maybe send you a message or email?
We do have a website, but I don't think there's contact details on the website. I think it would be better if you guys just would contact me directly, and then I will negotiate with the foundation.
Okay, so
So
you want them to contact your email possibly, or Instagram?
Email would be fine. Instagram would be fine. I'd prefer email though, but Instagram is okay.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, what we'll do is leave her email, like she said, and that way she'll get it, and it's easier to forward a message on email versus Instagram. Sometimes you can get so many DMs at times. So we'll put her email in the pinned comment, and then those of you in South Africa, some of you who be watching in South Africa, that are lawyers, because we got people of all walks of life watching. Contact Marilyn and see what could be done about this, because these people definitely have a case, that's for sure, because this isn't right. So Marilyn, I said we definitely thank you for joining us on the show today, and we greatly appreciate all the information that you gave us what's going on. We did not know this whatsoever.
I thank you so much for this platform, Phil, and I'm hoping that that there will be some sort of change. For so many years, the situation has just been left alone. For so many years, this is how it's been. It's almost been accepted, by the community. It's almost as though, when you keep trying and keep trying and keep trying and you don't get any sorts of assistance, you kind of give up. So I think the community has reached that point, and this explosion, which is not the first explosion, by the way, there has been other explosions which have taken place. I think this one, because of how detrimental it was, I think this was just the tip of the iceberg for the community. And I think enough is enough now. It's been going on for far too long. And I'm really hoping for some positive change and for some impact to take place after this. So I humbly thank you so much for this opportunity.